derby.
I'm not getting rattled.
And we're 3 points off top 4, so it's not looking too bad.
Yeah.
Foden 88, Saka 87. I think that's wrong.
A nice you put your top on. You want to take it off and get the branding out? Happy birthday!
Make a wish to win the league.
I did.
But how much chance will Arsenal have of winning the Champions League?
0, mate.
If we got through PSV, do you think there's any chance?
No.
Hang on, let me finish.
Predictions:
2-1 Tottenham.
3-1 Liverpool.
2-0 Wolves. Chelsea to beat Man United at Old Trafford.
Still there.
You're in trouble if we win this game.
You better not lose on Saturday.
We beat the world champions this weekend. That makes you world champion.
We're the world champions, but you're not in a title.
This is why you'll never win the league.
6 million down the drain.
Robbie celebrating a 1-0 win. Abby Pilates instead of trophies. You never walk alone.
Catch us every Monday for the weekend roundup.
Yes, everybody, welcome back to Live at 5 on DR Sports. We are here every weekday at 5 p.m. to go through all the latest drama, the latest news and everything else going around on the world of football. Today, we'll be going through Thomas Tuchel's comments. We've got Arsenal being fined by the FA. We've got Mkhitaryan talking about Jose Mourinho. We've got revelations about Gyökeres from his agent. And today, I'm joined by Abby once again. First time we filmed together this week.
I know it's been an up and down week for us, hasn't it?
Has.
It's been like ships in the night.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
It's also been a bit of a topsy-turvy day in the world of football. We have obviously the FA have fined Arsenal.
Right.
It's been it's an interesting fine. So I remember this when it went on at the time. It's Arsenal didn't give United enough tickets when they were playing in the FA Cup together. So last season it was 1-1 draw at the Emirates back in January. United got Diogo Dalot sent off in the 60th minute, and Arsenal still couldn't win after another 120 minutes of football.
Love that.
One of my favourite days last season of what was a pretty dire season for my club, Manchester United. But Arsenal didn't give United enough tickets. So you meant to give the opposition teams in the FA Cup about 15% capacity, and they just didn't. They just flat out didn't. And then about 8 months later, it's now come through. The FA have looked at everything. I don't know what they would have looked at. They just look at the tickets.
How many short were they?
I don't know how many short they were, but it was. I remember at the time being quite short, and they've been fined Arsenal £500,000.
Ooh.
But it's a suspended fine based on if they do it again. I think at any point this season, they're just bang, they're getting hit with it big time. So I think Arsenal may have got a little lucky in this. In that it's a suspended fine rather than being fined, but they broke the rules.
Well, firstly, I would like to know how many under they were, just in the thing of not being biased. Like, I would just like to know. Like, if it was by like 5, then surely that's not worthy of a fine. But also, if you're going to fine them, just fine them. Like, what's with the
1,000 less than they should have been given. So the Red Devils were provided 8,000 seats at the Emirates, according to the Mirror.
And they only gave them 7,000.
So they provided 8,000. It's meant. So what it is, it's up to 15% of the tickets issued to a maximum of 9,000 seats.
Right.
So basically, they should have been given 9,000 seats, and Arsenal decided, no, you're having 1,000 less fans than the rules say. So they had an extra 1,000 Arsenal fans in that stadium just to watch them lose at home.
Well,
to Ruben Amorim's Reds.
Then that's good, then, isn't it? Smiles all around.
Yeah, but it's a thing. Like, you look at this sometimes and you go, why did you make that decision? Because you know the rules.
Well, I don't know, but I don't really understand what's the point of giving a fine if you're not going to make them pay it. So, like, just don't really bother. You might as well just tell them off.
It is a bit of a weird situation, isn't it? Because you can talk about Man City's charges, and all of Man City's charges are based around ambiguity in the rules, right? It's all like, did they go through loopholes, or like, is it fine? Is it not okay? Like, did they bring in sponsors when they shouldn't have? This was just a case of Arsenal should have given United 9,000 tickets, and then they didn't. And it's.
I mean,
they just didn't do it, and then the FA's gone. Oh yeah, 8 months later. Oh yeah, it turns out it was 1,000.
Clearly, they don't have any.
We knew that the day afterwards.
They clearly don't need anything else.
It took them 8 months
to do. Really? Did you really
8 months to come to this decision? And you do like the City stuff and like Chelsea's things and everything.
There's kind of big things.
Years, don't they?
Yeah, but they're arguably bigger cases than if United had 1,000 less fans, aren't they?
Yeah, some of these rules. Yeah, they just. I don't know. I feel like. I don't know what the process is that these just talking more broadly maybe on the charges and on the Chelsea's alleged charges, City's alleged charges, alleged rule breakings. They take years and years and years to go through. Like we've seen, as it was Jack mentioned on the show the other day, Burnley are currently trying to sue Everton for the breaches that kept them up. Do you remember a few seasons ago when Everton stayed up by 1 point?
Yeah.
Burnley went down that season, and they were the people who were like a point behind Everton. Everton, that season, then they got the points deduction, and the points deduction was for rules they broke in that season. And then Burnley are basically saying to Everton, you broke the rules that caused us to go down to the Championship when you should have, because the Premier League have, decided that Everton broke the rules and benefited from it. So they got the points deduction of the season. And then now this is going to be probably years and years and years of court
however,
cases.
though, if they were given, they were given the points deduction, so that is their punishment. So after that point, if you still can't manage to get another draw, then that's kind of on Burnley. Like, they've already had their punishment.
Yeah.
And if they hadn't have had the punishment, fair enough. But they already had the punishment. They already had the points deduction. So I don't really agree with that.
But then, do you not feel that Burnley are right to feel aggrieved that they've I guess in theory suffered the consequence of Everton breaking the rules by then going down to the Championship?
Yeah.
Like if they had another Premier League season, that's what millions and millions and millions of quid in revenue. And they may have not lost some of the players that they had to then sell when they went down to the Championship and then had to rebuild and come back up again.
Sure, but the argument would be, well, don't get yourself relegated in the first place.
Yeah, I guess just be better.
Be better. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, I can see why they'd be aggrieved, but then Everton got punished anyway, so what's the difference? Like, they still had their punishment. I see what you mean, that like, okay, then they shouldn't have been there anyway, but it is what it is. Like, got to roll with it. What's the point of suing them still?
No, I should just squeeze a couple million quid at them or something. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean,
Just again, so they can go
it's a bit of a
back
fight
up and
where
come
I'm just
back
like,
down
that's
again.
a bit, because I remember saying on the show the other day, I was like, well, shouldn't Burnley sue the FA for taking so long? This is what I was saying about like the FA whoever decided that they broke.
Do you reckon you can sue the FA?
Surely. You're able to, because if they make a wrong decision or something, or if they decide
But then I think if you start doing that, then you end up, being like,
Or
you
suing
wouldn't. I don't think
people
you'd be
that
able
keep you
to
in
sue.
there.
Well, I don't know whether or not you can sue everyone, but like if you sue the FA, think about like how many like refereeing decisions have gone against you, which could cause you to lose a game or win a game or whatever, like various things. Then like you would end up suing every governing body in football if for example that game then cost you the title, and the referees or VAR then came out and said that they gave the wrong decision, which we've seen. So I
Yeah.
feel like you probably wouldn't be able to do
wouldn't
that.
be able to. Yeah, I suppose then. And then clubs would be suing
Everyone, left, right, and
suing
centre.
VAR all the time.
Oh, every single
There'd be
week.
like, it was had the Brentford red card against United a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
where how Webb's come out and gone, oopsie, sorry guys.
My
And it's
fault.
like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just think on the punishment thing, like for Arsenal, like if you're going to give it, then make them pay the fine. If not, then just let them slap on the wrist and let them go on their business. Didn't make a difference anyway.
Yeah, we've got obviously someone who did make a difference was Bukayo Saka for England. He scored his 13th goal for England, which, if I believe I read this stat correctly, he's now the highest scoring Arsenal player for England of all time, with 13 and 45 appearances. But Thomas Tuchel came out after the game, talked about Saka, and he didn't seem too happy with the player. He's let me go just quickly find so Thomas Tuchel was basically, he made a bit of an odd comment when he heard about how many goals Saka had scored for Arsenal, which was 13. He said, how many goals did he score for England? 13? 1-3? Like he said, with a bit of confusion on his face,
Bit of
apparently.
sass.
Yeah, so Bukayo Saka's last year, let's say 2025, been far from the best year he's had, or the best 8 months he's had so far in football. He's had his injuries. He's got like 3 non-penalty goals in the Premier League in the last year, sort of like two or three since November 2024. And Tuchel agreed that Saka, although he stepped up when he scored against Wales, he basically called on Saka to say, you are nowhere near a guaranteed person on my plane. Is pretty much that's the vibe. What he says, he'll fight for he'll fight for his place with England. This is what we demand from Bukayo Saka, because he's been praising Madueke's performances, because Saka's missed out on a couple of England squads since Tuchel took over, and Madueke's come in. He's playing Madueke, obviously, when he wasn't injured. He's played well for Arsenal and he's played well for England. And it's just kind of interesting from Tuchel that he's saying that one player who you'd think ideally would be part of England's best three, of everyone talks about the Rashford, Kane, Saka trio up front. That's like the holy grail of forward lines for England at the moment. That he's come out and said such a key player has got to fight for his place.
Well, look, I think there is a good. There's a sense of having competitiveness. Like that, England are stacked. Let's be honest. Like with so much talent, especially across that front line. Why can't I talk today? So I like kind of like the thought process behind that, of being like, no one's safe. It doesn't mean anyone's guaranteed a space or come into the World Cup type of thing. But let's be honest with you, like, there's no chance in any team that Madueke starts over Saka. Like, if you actually want to go and win something. And that is not because I don't rate Madueke. It's just because look at what Saka has done for England over the years. Look at what Saka has done for Arsenal over the years. Even when Arsenal were rubbish, you know, he'd carried them on his back, essentially. Like, I don't know. I don't know if whether like Thomas Tuchel just like I don't think he like wants to rub people up the wrong way, but there is this kind of thing around Thomas Tuchel that like a lot of people are like, oh no, I think the England manager should be English and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, he's obviously not on a long contract. And whether or not we go and win the World Cup, I feel like if he doesn't, then there'll be lots of people being like, we should never have had him in the first place. I don't know. I mean, for me, there's no argument. Saka is obviously on that plane. Saka is obviously going to the World Cup. And you do want to have options and you do want to have competitiveness to make people work harder. It's the same in any squad, whether that is at club level or international. But it's a bit of a bizarre comment.
Yeah, I've got the whole comments here. I'll read out for you, and also you guys at home if you missed it. It's how many goals did he score for England? Tuchel queried. 13, 1-3. It has to be more. It's not enough. He needs to keep on going. I thought it was 30 at least, and then I would have said it's not enough because I'm never satisfied. He is such a threat for Arsenal in the most difficult league in the world. So why would he not be at international level? We have the position for him. He has the attitude, the stamina, the talent, everything to be a top player at international level, and that's what he has to show. We can just encourage him to be influential like he was today. Next game, he needs to try to repeat it. Saka himself said after the game to Sky Sports, he said, the way I perform for Arsenal, I want to take it into England and perform better in those games and be more effective. So I think Saka's agreeing to an certain extent there with Tuchel, saying he knows he's got to step up. Because Saka, I remember when he came through, when he first played for England, he was 19 years old. It was the 2021 or Euro 2020 when Saka was starting for England on that right wing place, I think at 19 years old. And
sensational.
It was incredible to see him come in and he was starting against Germany in the 2-0 win against Germany. He was fantastic. But I think as has happened so many times with so many England players is that they're so good for their clubs, and then when it comes to international level, something can't quite click. Previously, obviously, we've seen it with the quote-unquote golden generation that Gerrard was obviously part of and then recently slammed. Gerrard basically said that, oh yeah, we're all just being like really egotistical people that were walking around, not talking to each other. And we know how much of a mess that was. Southgate and now Tuchel have done really well with England to properly like get everyone harmonious on the same page, but now it's about performances.
Yeah, which look, selection should be based on performances, but I don't think you could ever sit there and say that Bukayo Saka has not performed for England. Yes, there's always room for improvement with all players, especially within that England squad, because again, let's be honest, we've got to finals and whatever, but it hasn't been particularly playing well. Probably the Euros, that was the only time I can think that actually England genuinely looked really good, getting to, you know, that stage of a competition. So I don't think that it's necessary to just talk about Bukayo Saka in that. I think that goes across the entire England squad. I think that sometimes the way in which we've set up under Gareth Southgate, I don't think brings out the best in certain players. I don't think that allows the freedom for someone like a Foden or someone like a Saka to really be able to go and do what they do at club level. It's very different club level to international football, very different way of playing. Also, you have to think about the cohesion. You're playing with players in your squad every single week. You're training with them every day. Every time you go and do an international camp, yes, that at the moment there are quite a few international breaks, but generally there's not that many. And yes, you know each other and they know each other from England camp and playing together, but some people that come into the squad, you don't get much time to build that type of dynamic and cohesion you would have with, you know, the player that's next to you or the fullback that's behind you. So I think that just kind of goes across every England player, because this is a massive tournament. Obviously, it's the only one. This is the only one, isn't it, that Thomas Tuchel will be at? Yeah, his contract was a year and a half.
His contract ends at the end of
the tournament. So for him, it's obviously, you know, I go places, I win things, and there's even more kind of weight on him for that. And like I said earlier, that people will be like, well, if you still don't do anything, if we, you know, the whole thing was based on like Gareth Southgate, essentially, like that's why they're not getting across the line. We've got the squad of players, we've got the talent, blah blah blah, and then we've not changed
got the
that.
Manager to get it out
not
of them
got
at
the manager
level, yeah.
So now we've got the manager in theory, and in practice that obviously does go and win things. So if it doesn't happen for us in America, then what next?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we mentioned on the show yesterday, I was talking to Jack about this, about Tuchel's, you know, future with England. I know obviously like you don't think about this too much, but because his contract is literally as soon as the World Cup's over, his contract expires. It's
Yeah.
that's the end of it immediately. It feels like they've basically gone, if you win it, you'll get another one.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like, because England have got to the 2 finals in recent years and they've failed in the last hurdle both times. They've not won the game, be that on penalties or like a kind of losing to Spain, obviously. It's almost become, because it's like been 2 finals, England's the only measure of success for England now is winning the entire thing.
Yeah.
Like, anything else is just stacking up as, oh, you did the same job as the last guy and we just got rid of him.
Yeah.
So Tuchel has to win it. And I want to ask just the comments. So you guys on YouTube, obviously, if you're watching at Samsung TV as well, hello, nice, thank you for joining us. But those of you in the YouTube comments, or if you are watching Samsung TV and you want to get involved, let me know what you think about Tuchel, because there's also been criticisms in the last couple of weeks about his honesty. So you've got the phrase, honesty is the best policy, and for the most part, that's true. But there comes a point when people can be too honest. So, for example, with Bellingham, there were the quotes from a couple of weeks ago about Bellingham not being in the squad and why he's not in the squad, and also Tuchel was criticising Bellingham back in June. I think it was in June, or during the World Cup, the Euros, where Tuchel wasn't a fan of him. But Tuchel last night was, I would say, a little maybe overly honest or critical of England fans. So the game was at Wembley. You got 6 or 7,500 Wales fans, and then you got 82,500 England fans. So overwhelmingly English. And what Tuchel said was, I think the players delivered a lot more to get more from the stands. It was difficult to keep everything going in the second half. We did excellent. We deserved to win. And then on asked whether he expects more from the England fans, Tuchel replied, yes. What more can you give them? 20 minutes, 3 goals. The way we attacked Wales and we didn't let them escape. If you hear for half an hour it was just Wales fans, it's a bit sad, because I think the team deserved big support. Coming after a home game, 3-0 win, it's a bit of a crazy thing for a manager to say, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But you do see managers more and more actually these days call out fans. I mean, 82,000 that were there last night?
Well, it's a 90,000 seat stadium, and Wales got 7.5. So you can only imagine it's going to be like 75, 80k.
Look, I've been to my fair share of England games in my time, and the crowds are different unless you're at a major tournament where, you know, you get the kind of die-hard travelling England support that get to go to those games. Like, you are going to experience not probably the best atmosphere at times. Like, that is just how it is. Like, you get to have a lot. There are people that will go to these games that don't or can't afford necessarily to go to other types of games. It's expensive to go to football, so I never think that a manager should be on anybody's back, because you're paying your hard-earned money. You know, cost of living crisis out here, guys. Like, times are tough. So if you're being able to go to a game, that might be your first England game, or that might just be something special you're doing with your kids or something, you know, that you can afford to go to. So I just think that getting on your back about fans not singing loud enough and this and that, like, just stay kind of in your lane, because you're not in the lane with the rest of us normal regular people. I don't think you should be on their back. But what I would say is, if you're playing a game against Wales, yeah, okay, there's a rivalry there, fine, but like, also, like, it'll be probably even worse against Latvia. So
Do you think maybe it's not the right game to criticise England fans
not
for?
really.
Because it's not exactly like, it's like basic. Because to me, I look at it and think it's the same way as going, oh, the atmosphere was a bit flat in a pre-season friendly.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, yeah, there's no.
But
there's
also,
no jeopardy behind it.
but also, you can get games that are flat in the Premier League. Like, you know, for example,
especially if you go 3-0 up in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
in the second half,
great.
you're not going to be.
You're just managing the game.
Yeah,
like, you're not necessarily getting
the fans
people
are
off their
chilling out
seat.
there, just happy. They're having an extra drink or something.
Nothing to worry about. You know that Wales aren't really going to score 3 goals. Like, it's great. You can just relax and enjoy the football. It's very different. Like, if you're like, with respect, if you're playing. The atmosphere for example, Spurs against Arsenal is going to be completely different to the atmosphere against Spurs against Wolves. Like, it's going to be completely different. I understand the narrative that, okay, there's a rivalry there, like, but this is not a major tournament. I do think he's focusing on the wrong thing here, Tuchel, just a little bit. Because I mean, he also acknowledged England's away support afterwards. He said, we had an excellent support in Serbia, but here we were 3-0 up after 20 minutes. We had ball win after ball win after ball win, and I feel like, why is the roof still on the stadium? That's just it. It's nothing big. We will do everything again to be infectious. There's no problem. Like, I'm sure we will get everyone going. It was also
just
a
on
friendly.
Us, but tonight I was a little bit underwhelmed.
It was a friendly. Yeah. Like, Come on, it's a friendly. We're not talking about England-Brazil in a quarter-final, or we're not talking about the first opening game at the World Cup. Like, we are literally talking about
a friendly game.
A friendly.
Where you're 3-0
he
mentions the 3-0 up after 20 minutes. I'm like, that's part of it. Like, if your team is 2-1 down with 5 minutes to go and you're at home, different animal. The fans will be standing up, they'll be singing, they'll be chanting, they'll be like willing the team on.
Yeah.
But once you go 3-0 up in 20 minutes, you know you're going to win.
Exactly.
You know you're going to win, and it's a friendly game, so the players are also going, as well, I've got that Liverpool fan, I don't know who was playing, like Arsenal, so for example, Saka might be thinking, I don't want to get injured here. Like when we go back, Arsenal, we've got a first place to defend in the league when we go back. We've got and you've got other players thinking, I want to be playing on like next weekend with my clubs as well. So I do think it's a little harsh from Tuchel. And Fat Thor in the comments asks, do you find it strange having a non-English manager to lead the England team? Shouldn't a national team be led by its nation's best manager?
Yeah, I do kind of see that. Point, but look, I guess we had Gareth Southgate there for a long time, and I know people are very, very critical of Gareth Southgate, and I don't think he necessarily would have ever been the man to take you over the line, but I do think that he gets an awful lot of criticism for what he has done for England and how he's completely turned it around. On having an English manager, but who would you have liked to have? I think for me, Eddie Howe would have been the obvious one, but he doesn't want to.
Got to be number one for England.
Absolutely, but he's probably not at the point where he's ready to give up doing, club management. And there is a day-to-day aspect. Of course, when you're working for a national team, there is still a day-to-day aspect, but it is very different to doing club football. And I think that you can only do that job when you are ready to come out of club football.
Yeah, I kind of understand the question. Well, I understand the question, obviously, but I think the answer's a little more nuanced than, I find it weird, or no, I think it's fine. I think it's more about getting a manager who understands the English game rather than just being someone who's like just an English manager.
Which he does.
This is what I'd say, because I'm thinking back to when Tuchel was appointed, everyone was like appointing a German manager to manage England, considering obviously the history and rivalry between German and English football teams and all of that. Yeah, you might think on the surface, bit weird, but Tuchel is someone who's previously expressed that, he loves English football, he loves English players, he loves this, he loves the culture of English football.
And he's been successful in it.
He's won Champions Leagues with Chelsea and etc. And he's just always said he loves it. So I do think it's a little more nuanced than just going, he's English, get him in because he's the best English manager. It's more about having someone, because when you've had Capello and Sven-Goran Eriksson before, there has always been a little bit of, do they understand the English game? That's what, like, for example, Capello didn't speak English. That's where you go, what are you doing? You've got a guy who can only speak Italian managing the English team. None of the English guys speak Italian. That's where you go, this is weird. But with Tuchel, I do think it's more nuanced. I think he also was the best pick at the time available.
Yeah, I definitely
like
think
you've got a team who can prove they can get to finals. They're not going to bottle it against teams in the quarters and semis. But Tuchel is a guy who prides himself on winning.
Yeah, and also has the mentality to get you over the line. I think that was the difference between him and Gareth Southgate, to be honest with you. When he took that job, I don't think he'd even managed since Middlesbrough before, prior to taking the England job, which was a hell of a long time before that. So having a manager that has managed to build a very good cohesion and basically has laid all the foundations and kind of that groundwork within the camp is great. And then Thomas Tuchel hopefully will be the final piece of the puzzle in terms of getting that mentality over the line. There are a lot of successful players in that squad that have won, whether it is domestic cups or European cups, etc. So you would hope that there is enough mentality for them to then understand how to win a trophy. But you're talking about the World Cup here. It's not easy.
Yeah, I think once after, as we get into the March international break, etc., and then going towards when we really start getting to the run of, I think the conversations will change.
I do.
There'll be a lot more pro Tuchel. There'll be a lot more I like this guy, because once he starts, because I think at the moment he's he's still trying to figure out who he wants. Like he's talking about Saka, not calling out a big name, but kind of giving a bit of a reality check to both Saka, but also the other big names out there. I'm sure Bellingham's going to be Belling reading this. Palmer's going to be reading this. Kane's going to be thinking about it. Rashford's going to be thinking about it.
There's a lot of English talent, a lot of English players, and I'm fine with him basically saying you've got to fight for your place. I think that we all know that Saka will obviously be on that plane, unless he's injured. But I think that there is a lot of English talent, and then you have the resurgence of someone like a Marcus Rashford, who's
Or
always
Jack
been-
Grealish.
or
Yeah.
Jack Grealish.
I was thinking it's these kind of words that I think will really like that will pique the interest of Jack Grealish. I think is like I'm almost very specifically going like, you know, it's by far from done and dusted. Grealish,
Yeah.
you keep doing your thing, you've got a shot.
Well, all you can do is do well at club level, and when you do get a chance, take it.
Oh
That's it.
yeah, for sure. I think Grealish can. I mean, Laurie's mentioned before on the previous shows we've had this week. So obviously we are live at 5 every weekday. Make sure to check us out all the time. Thank you. But he's mentioned a number of times. He's saying, you know, he thinks Grealish is very much a wild card and someone you really got to look out for in this England squad, because it's beyond just being a good player. You've got obviously so many, as you mentioned, you've got the young talents and the talents who are like hitting 24, 25 now. So you want someone who's like 30, who's been around, he's won the treble, he's
Been
won
to tournaments
he's
before,
been to the tournaments before, he's experienced everything, both at Man City, at Villa, at Everton, so across all kind of levels of the Premier League. Like he was there when Villa were fighting relegation,
Yeah.
and he was at Man City when they were at their absolute peak. He was starting in Champions League finals and semi-finals. There's a bit of promo for Jack Grealish there from me, apparently. But yeah, no, I think if you were to build, what's your ideal England starting 11?
Oh wow.
Let's say quarterfinals against
I mean, can you
Belgium or something.
Give
you
me a
know,
minute. Let
just
me look
have
at,
a think
let me look
about
at our
it.
team from last
Because
night.
obviously England, the criticism under Southgate, while you think about this, is that it was always England's routes to the final. You didn't actually play all of the biggest teams.
Yeah, but
A lot of the time, that is how
just
it
the
works.
draw.
But like, you know, often England's actually played the best team. I mean, obviously, once they got to the final, like it was teams such as, like, with all due respect, you beating in the World Cup, it's clubs like beating Colombia on penalties, etc., rather than necessarily playing like big team after big team after big team after big team in the final.
Yeah, but the draw is the draw.
Yeah,
And
but-
but I also feel like, and this is something maybe that we haven't seen across a lot of tournaments under Southgate, there's been kind of this rigidness to like kind of utilise the squad at times, and I do think that is the whole point of obviously having a squad. Like, you know, if you're playing a different team every single time, then like you're looking at their strengths, looking at their weaknesses, and also looking at, it's the same as anything. You might have your preferred starting 11, but if there is a player that is going to give you a better result, I think that that's absolutely fine to change it, and I would quite like to see that. We have so much talent. I don't think you necessarily have to stick with the same 11 for every single game. I actually don't think that that's necessary.
But let's say Abby's at the wheel.
I would have loved some time to prepare for this, but
So I know I've kind of thrown you.
we can do it together. I mean,
here.
I think Pickford is obviously
Pickford's the
just-
obvious choice in goal. I think Trent right back.
Yeah,
It's gotta
I
be
think
him.
Trent. I think we go Trent. I don't really think that. Well, because also he offers you so much as well going forward.
Yeah, this is what I mean. I think Liverpool they've missed him big time, Liverpool, in terms of progressing the ball properly and sustaining attacks. My two centre backs, I would probably go
I'd go Gay here.
Gay and Stones is what I was going to say.
Yeah,
As long as John Stones is actually fit, that guy is still a fantastic centre back.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that too much.
You in the chat says talk on Wales, Dylan. Yeah, not the best day from my boys. I can't
yeah, of
lie.
course you're a Wales fan.
Yeah, it was. I was at the pub watching it, and after the second goal, I kind of just ordered another pint, and I was like, you know what? I was with a couple of my mates, and we were planning a couple YouTube videos and stuff, and I was just like, you know what? It's on in the background, but I don't mind too much. I did say on the show yesterday, I said I thought it'd be 3-1 England, ended up being 3-0. Obviously, like you had like Dan James is the good chance at one point, and
How was Brennan?
he was all right. I'm kind of delete the game from my memory because everything's on that Belgium game, and it's kind of annoying that you've scheduled the game before you play Belgium, which is huge for us in the group. You scheduled England away. I'm like, not the world's best confidence booster. There is a slight kind of like,
It's a friendly,
but at the same time, Craig Bellamy will be hammering into these players, going, everything's on this Belgium game anyway.
Yeah.
Craig Bellamy's got a good mentality, but he knows when they need to win and when it's okay. But you know, I'll speak my piece maybe more depending on that Belgium result, because if we beat Belgium at Cardiff City Stadium, that would be absolutely beautiful.
Beautiful. Who would you go for at left back?
It's a good question. Left back suddenly not who are England's left backs? Chat, can you help me out here? Because the only thing, the only ones that come to mind for me, you've got what? Like Luke Shaw's English, but he's not getting in. Levi, sorry, not Colwell. Ben Chilwell, but he's meh.
You could have Lewis Hall.
I actually wouldn't mind Lewis Hall. That's
Lewis
actually a pretty
Hall,
good shout.
Martin
Yeah.
Skelly. I mean, Jed Spence, obviously, who played last night.
I would.
Jed is actually better, in my opinion, at left back than right back.
You got Jed Spence as an option. Lewis Skelly. I mean, I wouldn't mind either of them.
I mean,
I'm going to go Lewis Skelly just because I like the guy. But Jed Spence has also been banging with Spurs this season.
yeah, like
then,
the resurgence
yeah.
has been unreal. I mean, I think that we've got plenty of options when it comes to left back. Actually,
Yeah. In terms of midfield, I'm building in like a 4-2-3-1 here,
Okay.
and my midfield three, who I'd love to see. Because I'm going to assume that Mainoo's not part of the conversation here because he's not playing at United.
Well,
so
we're taking it at this current moment.
So taking out Mainoo, I'm going Rice and Wharton
Nice.
as two more sitting players, and then I would want. Might be a bit of a weird shout, but Cole Palmer at 10. Obviously, I know he's injured, but like if a fit Cole Palmer, I'd actually want him at 10. Because if you got Harry Kane wanting to drop deep, Cole Palmer can just go ahead of him a bit, and then Kane at the top, Rashford left.
I
Saka right.
actually don't think that's a bad shout.
I think Cole Palmer. I love Cole Palmer. I think he's such an awesome footballer to watch and play. And like obviously he came off the bench on the final and scored a lovely goal.
Yeah.
I think he was underutilized. Big time.
I think Cole Palmer definitely starts in some capacity. So if you're going to try and fit,
But
him in-
if I want Saka to play, I'm putting Palmer through the middle.
yeah, I wouldn't move Saka. I mean, yeah, you don't move Saka.
That's
For me,
my-
the front three picks itself in
Yeah.
on current form.
God, that front sit, you got Rice, Wharton, Palmer, Kane, Rashford, and Saka.
Yeah, I think that's probably
That's
it.
how. Because you're not even talking about
you're not even talking about an Eze.
Foden, Eze, Grealish.
I'm just looking at the squad from last night. You're not even talking about Gibbs White. You're not talking about. I mean, there's just options for him.
So I say you've got
You're not talking about Anthony
you've
Gordon.
got a winner in Thomas Tuchel, a guy who can get over the line in finals, and you got these players.
Would you see Eze in the 10? But not over Palmer.
On their day, I'd still rather see Palmer. But Eze's an equally fantastic. You know, if I'm not mad if Eze's playing at number 10 instead of Cole Palmer.
Yeah,
Eze is also a fantastic shout because obviously you've got the chemistry between him, Saka and Rice and everything as well.
Yeah, there is actually that argument that maybe you would do that. But then I do think Cole Palmer starts for you. I do think he starts in a major tournament.
I think Cole Palmer starts. It'd be great to see a Crystal Palace player also in the starting lineup, just with Wharton.
What did you make of Elliot Anderson last night?
Oh, I think. Well, Elliot Anderson in general, he's great last night, but Elliot Anderson in general, what a player.
Smooth.
I've been banging on about him for so long. When he first signed for Forest, I was like, that's a neat 35 million. I was like, that's a neat little signing.
Absolutely.
And he's just gone up and up. And I think Anderson's awesome. It helps that he's also giving me DEFCON points in FPL, even though Forest are absolutely terrible. But I think
It's not bad. That's not bad 11. That
the whole squad's mad.
there's so much.
Like it's so good, but it is top heavy. It's quite top heavy.
It is top heavy. I think that the one area, I think the centre backs are still always a bit of a problem for England. When you have a look in like quality and depth of that, but I do think like as Gahey and Stones, I think that's a solid partnership. It's just when you start to go a little bit deeper.
You've got other options though, don't you? You've got
Dan Burn.
Yeah, you've got who's the guy that Liverpool just sold? Joe Gomez.
Yeah.
Joe Gomez, if he's fit, he's still a good
Even
centre
like
back.
someone like Fikayo Tomori.
Harry Maguire still exists as a person. Yeah, Tomori's great. Harry Maguire is there if you need him.
Yeah.
Experienced head, but I think Harry Maguire's kind of past it.
And also, sorry, we've just completely excluded Jude Bellingham from that.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Mohammed in the chat.
Yeah, big up Mohammed. Thank you.
So this is the
Oh
option.
my god, that's You know what? This is Tuchel's problem. Sorry, Kwanzaa. That's who I meant. From
Rice,
who they sold,
Bellingham.
obviously Gomez. Yeah.
Crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, but either way, going back to Premier League,
Yes.
there's been a quite funny revelation from Victor Gyökeres's agent, Hassan Çetinkaya, or Victor Gyökeres's agent. So I don't know if you guys seen this in the last 24 hours or so, but Gyökeres's agent has come out and he spoke to an outlet and he said they, as in Sporting, had concluded a deal with Manchester United behind our backs. That was a problem. United offered a higher transfer fee. If Hugo Viana, the old Sporting director who moved to City, was still at Sporting, the deal would have been done within an hour. Everything was written, but we didn't have time to start a legal battle. They offered him to Real Madrid, made headlines with Madrid and even United, but from day one there was a commitment to Arsenal. It was such a messy couple months, wasn't it? The whole Gyökeres thing. And I watch Gyökeres, and with the best player in the world, I look at it sometimes and go, was that worth it?
What with the Gyökeres transfer?
Was it worth going through all of that
Well,
for Arsenal?
we'll see if he's the difference between them winning a league or
He's
not.
not scored in 6 games.
I didn't say that, guys, by the way, because I know you're
Oh, that's just a fact.
I
He's
know,
not scored
but
in 6.
if I say it, if I say it, then it means I'm on your back, and I ain't trying to be on your back. Not today. Look, I feel like they needed a striker. He wasn't particularly expensive, like by striker standards.
Yeah, it's 52 odd million. I
How
thought like
much did you pay for
mid
Chester?
50s, 66
Right. So
plus add-ons.
United tax.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think obviously he's going to be worth every penny if he makes the difference between Arsenal winning a league or not, because that's what we've also banged the drum about for the last 2-3 seasons. Well, they're this player away, without player away, they need a striker. So if he's the difference of getting over the line, then yeah, it was worth it. There's so many dodgy things that go on behind the scenes in football. Football is a very dirty sport. Like, I think that people don't realise how much actually goes
Backroom
on.
deals,
And backroom
backdoor
deals.
stuff. I mean, you saw with the Sam Allardyce stuff years ago.
Yeah, there's things
like
that
when he
goes
didn't
on
go
all
for
the
England because he was
time.
recommending like third transfers.
Yeah.
Oh, you can siphon money off this deal here and there.
Yeah, exactly. So there's things that happen all the time, things that are loopholed, and things that are like, look, it's just football, guys. I don't think that anyone really can imagine that we live in this magical world where like everything is done above board and people don't tap up players and anything like that. Sometimes you get caught out for it, sometimes you don't, because it happens most of the time, unless you're trying to do that to a Nottingham Forest player, and then Marinakis might put you in some trouble. But
Yeah.
apart from that, it happens all the time at every single club. So yes, I think it will probably be worth it for Arsenal in the long run.
I'm gonna, as a United fan, I'm gonna talk about my guys for a second. Obviously, if we had a deal with Sporting for Gyökeres, obviously Gyökeres was, he's Amram's guy. He's the guy that I think if you pick one single player, put Amram on the map more than anyone else, but also Amram put Gyökeres on the map big time by being the guy. Like, Gyökeres scored 66 goals in 68 games for Amram. Like, it was so obvious that Amram was like, I want a striker with English football experience. Obviously, he has that in the Championship a few years ago, but European pedigree of winning the golden, winning the boot among Europeans' biggest leagues, like 92 goals in 100 games or whatever the insane record was that he had. But I reckon we've dodged a bullet with him.
Do you think that?
I think that, yeah. Having watched Šeško, obviously watching Gyökeres play, I know Gyökeres has more goals, more starts for Arsenal so far, but having watched Šeško play, and I think the player that Šeško can become and is likely to become at us, because I think Šeško can be the guy to break that whole graveyard shift position up front of playing for Man United. Because at the moment, the only players who have played well for United up front are players who have had 10, 12 years of experience. You've got Cavani, Ronaldo, Ibrahimovic, are our 3 best strikers post Sir Alex Ferguson, I think, clearly. Anthony Martial is also in that conversation. But that was because we were so tailored to him, especially under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Šeško, I think, can be that guy, that younger player, to finally break that mold. I think he's fantastic. His last couple of games for us that I've seen from him. City, he was all right. Against Chelsea, he was taken off at half time because of the whole red card thing. Yeah. But then against Brentford, I thought he was very good. And then against Sunderland, I thought he was awesome. I reckon that Šeško is going to end up having a better Premier League career than Gyökeres is.
They'll clip that.
I know they will. I know they'll clip that. But that is as far as hot takes go, I think that's like up there with one of the hottest ones of mine. And I also think that if you got this Šeško, if you got like Šeško, who he can be in this Arsenal team, I think Arsenal, like, I watch what Gyökeres' role is right now, and I think that Šeško could do that better in terms of being like the really tall guy who's like getting on the end of crosses, target man, can lay it down, because Šeško's been doing it all season for us so far. I know he's not started loads of games yet, but with like against Sunderland, literally Le Mans, his instruction was, as soon as they start pressing, ping up to Šeško. That was the instruction.
So would
he did
you say
it flawlessly.
that you think that it should have been the other way around, that Manchester United should have got Gyökeres and Arsenal should have got Šeško?
No, I'm happy that we got Šeško over Gyökeres.
Okay.
And I think that Arsenal have missed the trick on not getting Šeško. And I know I'm not the only person to say this, because I know Jack is a massive fan of... He was gutted when we got Šeško.
Yeah.
He's a
over
massive
Gyökeres.
fan of Šeško.
But the link with Gyökeres was linked for so long that it seemed like that actually the only destination he was... I know there was a little bit between United and like who...
Oh, it was Arsenal.
Club.
I mean,
But
yeah.
it was Arsenal that
As
was
his
always
agent
leading
says
the
here,
race
it
for
says that there was always a commitment to Arsenal from Gyökeres.
Yeah.
Seemed like from day one, Gyökeres wanted Arsenal. And I think fair, cool, thank you, sweet. We got Šeško out of it.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy about.
Well, I think time will tell on both of those fronts.
Yeah. But that is... It's
an early doors take. It's like when there was those comparisons between Darwin Núñez and Haaland. So it's a big statement.
Reading the chat, some of them are not happy with me,
Oh,
but
don't
it's what it
read
is. Time will tell. We'll see. How have you assessed the two of them so far?
My assessment of both, I thought Šeško looked quite good against Sunderland, but again, I feel like it's hard to kind of tell with Manchester United in general. I haven't like looked at his performance and been like, oh, he's really, really crap. Like I haven't looked at him and been like, what a kind of bum player. But I think obviously where Gyökeres is going to get probably more service, obviously at Arsenal, like that is probably a given
For now, yeah.
For now,
I agree.
I mean, especially with the struggles that you've got at Manchester United, I think until probably there's a managerial change. And maybe we can see a little bit more. I mean, less of this kind of like twin 10 roles that we've got going on. I think he's done fine. In terms of hitting the ground running, I don't think either of them have massively come in and hit the ground running. Like whether or not I expected them to, I don't know. I think if you it depends what you're comparing to. Like even when I think about like Haaland coming into the league, like City did take a while to adapt to obviously having that kind of out and out striker. Arsenal kind of doing the same thing. He hasn't been terrible, Gyökeres. He hasn't probably been as prolific as maybe Arsenal fans won't admit it. But I think that like as prolific as they might have thought he would have been straight off of coming in, based on his season last season as well at Sporting. So I think both have been fine. I don't think anyone has been particularly overwhelming. I'm just kind of looking at him like. Fine.
It's hard to be a overwhelmingly fantastic striker in the Premier League, isn't it? When you've got Erling Haaland there doing what he does.
Well, yeah, but I also think like it does take time to adapt to a league. We obviously kind of take the mick when we talk about someone like Florian Wirtz, for example. Like it does take time to adapt to coming into a new league. Like there's lots of different things that go on. These people are also human, and there's things that go on in their own life, and having pressure of being that main person, that person that's going to make the difference of you winning a league or. I don't know, in your case, keeping you up or something like that. Like,
top half.
Yeah, top half.
Just top half, please.
There's pressures. Like it does take time. We're on the back of Florian Wirtz after however many games, and because you're comparing him to someone like Ekitike who's come in and slotted in and fitted in really well. But on the other hand, Liverpool aren't performing at their best right now. Obviously, everyone's on the back of them after losing 3 games. Like, it's crazy. Football is incredibly fickle, and people want to be this kind of like internet culture of like rah on the back of people immediately if they don't drop a 10 out of 10 performance. And even if they are dropping a 10 out of 10, people still find something to criticise them on. Like, these are regular people, and it does take time for them to adapt. It's not often I will defend Arsenal players, but I do just think that in football in general, like we are very, very critical. And yes, okay, it can be for banter. I'm guilty of it as well, but I just think as a striker, it's a hard job. It's a very hard job, especially in the Premier League. So things do take time.
Yeah, in the Premier League, it's like it's the top and back end of teams now that there's so much focus on, isn't there? You've got the striker and goalkeeper. I think you've seen that at United really well, and also when like at Arsenal, you've had like Ramsdale, not necessarily when like he started well, but then he did that podcast where he said he can't concentrate for 90 minutes, and I think that started his kind of phase out of Arsenal. And then you got Raya, who's come in, and Raya's now top 2 in the league.
The thing is with that, like at the time, I was probably quite critical about Mikel Arteta making that decision, because I looked at that Arsenal team and I thought that's probably not the area you need. Like that's not the one you need to strengthen. But actually, Mikel Arteta had a point, and one thing he knows about, I guess, is goalkeepers and defensive players, and he was spot on. He knew that there was a weakness there, and he said, "I'm going to bring in someone like David Raya, who is probably." I mean, I know Arsenal fans will say he's the best in the league.
He's second best in the league.
Would you say to Alisson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alisson is clear first and Raya is clear second.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it, which is, by the way, I think it's a
Raya.
massive compliment to Raya.
Yeah, the improvement of David Raya since he's been at Arsenal as well. He's just become an exceptional goalkeeper. But again, even when he came in, there was a little bit of a period when he did come in that he did look a little bit shaky. Even that took him time, and he'd already been playing in the Premier League. So we're talking about players that have come from different leagues. The Premier League is completely different pace, different tempo to what it is whether you're playing in Portugal or wherever else. So I just think it just does take a little bit of time. Just take some time.
I mean, Jay Jackson here, big up for the super chat, thank you, mate. He said, can Wirtz get the same amount of grace that the 50-year-old Gyökeres, I'm assuming he has got?
Yeah, we can, but obviously it is funny to, kind of wheel out the lawnmower.
Yeah, I think part of that is actually more just...
I think it's more
the fact that Alex has been so overconfident.
Yes.
So at the start of this season, win the league last season, that we're all just like, right, anything that we can retort back with, I think, He takes the cookings. He was saying yesterday before we filmed, he was like, I've taken more cookings this week than I have in the last 2 years.
Well, it's true, because you have no choice. Like when Liverpool are and have been as dominant as they have been, he never gets to experience what it's like when you get cooked on a week by week basis. The rest of us around the table always.
I can't wait until United are good again, so I can just like have a bit more of a smile on my face.
You might
It's
be
going to
waiting
be
a long old time.
I know we're going to be waiting. I mean, Drago here says it's a rather backhanded compliment. He says, "Can't believe Abby is being more sensible than the United fan on Arsenal."
Oh well, you know what? Sometimes
Hey, I praised Arsenal the other day. I said I reckon that they're finally looking like a team who could actually win a Premier League title. They're acting more. They're not acting like the plucky underdogs anymore. I said I think it's the first time I've seen it from Arsenal in these last 3-4 years.
I'm not going at that point. I'm
not.
No.
Do you not agree with me?
Listen, I still have my stall very set out that Liverpool are going to retain this title.
I think they're still actually. I said Arsenal yesterday, didn't I? I did. I said I think Arsenal now.
It's a tricky conversation. It's very early. We're very early
games in. We are deep into this international break, guys. So you've got to remember.
We're very early on.
Everyone's going crazy right now.
Yeah, we are. But it's very early on in the season. We've seen 7 games. I don't think any team has particularly been brilliant. Arsenal included in that as well. I think that once we're cooking in the season and like things actually start to heat up a little bit more and performances get better, then we can make an actual judgment. But yeah, I mean, look, I will still question Arsenal's mentality because I haven't seen them win anything other than that FA Cup all those years ago. They've spent a lot of money, and yes, there is pressure on them, as I've said many times. Like, I think they should have won the league last year. Fine, this is their year. I think it is league or bust, or Champions League or bust for me. Like, that won't go down well either. I don't think that's coming from a biased place.
I think most people would agree with you.
Yeah, I don't think that is coming from a biased place. I think that's coming from a place you spent a lot of money and it's time. You need to see something. You need to see a trophy or something, and a major trophy as well. I think with Liverpool there are a lot of changes. I think we spoke about it on last week's show. Like when you've had such a settled squad for such a long time, and obviously Arne Slot coming in last year, only tweaking a few things, the squad was still there. I don't think they expected to go and win the league last year, but that is really because of everyone else around them, not really giving them any type of a challenge either. And then some of the football they obviously played last season was exceptional. Mohamed Salah was ridiculous as well. But to go and win a league, you've got to be the best. And I'm just not entirely sure that Arsenal still have that mentality. I was talking about it with someone the other day, and he said to me, "Well, who is going to stop them?" Because if you have a look in terms of Arsenal's squad, they've got a brilliant squad. Arguably,
they've got the squad with the least holes in, I think.
Yeah, and that's taken a long time to build. So, yeah, it's a concern. It's a slight concern, but I'm not letting it worry me after 7 games.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just see how the Premier League unfolds. I'm watching very much from down here, looking up there.
Oh well, yeah.
I'm in a whole different sphere here, which is why I feel I can just sit here and make random claims.
You just need to make sure you're just not finishing.
I want to end this show talking about just a little bit on Jose Mourinho, because it's come out recently. Henrik Mkhitaryan, obviously ex-United, ex-Arsenal. He's currently at Inter Milan playing as a defensive midfielder these days, in a very, very, very good Inter Milan side who got to the Champions League final, which I think is crazy considering the player he used to be. Like, he had that season with Dortmund where he got like 32 goals, 27 assists, like a record-breaking season.
He was unbelievable.
But he's come out and he's talked about his time at United under Jose Mourinho, because for United fans who remember it, or maybe if you just, if we're following United at the time, Jose Mourinho basically never played him. He never started him. And I remember at the time, me included as a United fan, I was going, why? Why not? Like, because Mkhitaryan, he looked good initially. He was very good with his feet, ball dribbling, and he scored some lovely goals. But Jose Mourinho just wasn't a fan of him. And Mkhitaryan's come out and he said, I had lost my patience with Mourinho. I said to him, "You've been criticising me for 2 years. You are beep." He said, "I never want to see you again." He would not say a word in training, but every night, he'd send a text saying, "Leave so I can get Alexis Sanchez." He'd say on WhatsApp every night, "Mickey, please go away. It had gotten really bad." I always copied and pasted the same response saying, "If I go, I have to find the right team. Otherwise, I will wait until the summer." Around January, his text changed to, "Mickey, please go away so I can get Alexis." Then my response changed too. I started saying, "If I'm not leaving just to please you, and I beg you, please stop texting me. Talk to me in Raiola if you want." Jose Mourinho, he's one of a kind, isn't he? Like, we've both been through Mourinho. Kind of, we had like almost a speed run of like I was at his 2 clubs about how the high and then the low. Maybe less so. But
he's not one to mince his words.
No, he's not, is
To
he?
be honest.
Like you were talking earlier about saying that, you know, like ugly and behind the scenes things happen all the time in football. This is a perfect example of that.
Yes. There's things that happen all the time. And look, it sounds very Jose. I mean, he's not trying to beat around the bush. He's saying, leave, man. Move.
Go.
I don't want you.
Yeah.
I don't want you here. I'm not going to play you. And I think there probably is this frustration, like on both sides. If you're a player that obviously wants to play and you're not being played or featured in the squads and things like that, then you're just effectively you're sitting there picking up a paycheck, which, to be fair, if I was picking up that amount of a paycheck, I'd happily sit wherever. But it must be frustrating if you are a manager and you need to shift a player in order to bring in who you want to further the squad and get the player that you actually want to have. And that doesn't happen. It's a frustration, because if you're under contract, then why would you leave unless there was a club you actually wanted to go to or that was going to match the money?
Yeah.
So I kind of see both
But
sides of the argument.
is this
Probably
the right
not the
way to go
nicest-
about it?
No, but it's probably the most Jose way about it ever. And you hear about things
Just
all the
text him
time.
daily reminders.
You hear managers freezing players out all the time. Just look at what's happened at Chelsea with, you know, Maresca and players that he doesn't like. He's sent them to the under-23s. He sent them to the porter cabins. Like, so that is just the manager's approach, because you want to make it like so uncomfortable for someone. It's like you're just icing them out, aren't you? It's not necessarily right. It's not really a nice way to treat another human, but at the end of the day, you do it to force and put people in a position where the club then, you know, accept a bid for you, and it puts you as a person in there, and you say, this actually isn't worth it. I want to go somewhere and play my football. I have a short career, and I understand why players stay and why they want to look into the contract and make sure that they can pick up their paycheck, which is fair. Everyone would do that in that situation. But sometimes you want to go and be able to play football. So it means that you then also have something. If you know you're not wanted, why stay somewhere you're not wanted?
Yeah. What, like, Jose Mourinho, obviously at his peak when he was at Real Madrid, when he was at Chelsea both times, and obviously when he won with Inter and Porto, he was, you know, widely regarded as one of, if not the best manager in world football. It was him versus Pep, wasn't it? Especially on the international, like on the European stage, where it was more in the Premier League. Obviously, you had the whole Sir Alex Ferguson versus Arsene Wenger for ages, and kind of the longevity of managers. But it was those two, especially like in the early 2010s and the early years of the 2000s. But Pep since, you know, obviously I know Pep is younger, but Pep's, you know, gone to Bayern Munich and he won the league with Bayern. He's won trophies at Barcelona. He's now gone to City and he's won 6 or 7 Premier League titles. He's secured City's first ever treble. Like, and the treble was always Jose Mourinho's thing. But, you know, I've won the treble at 2 places. Nowhere else has done that, when he was at Inter and also at Porto. But is now Jose Mourinho kind of like his tour of almost like going to Spurs and it's not quite worked, and he's gone to Roma and he won a trophy with Roma, but it was the Conference League.
Still won a trophy.
But he did win a trophy, but it's the Conference League. And then going to Fenerbahce, not quite working out Fenerbahce, getting sacked, and then now he's going back to Benfica, where he started 25 years ago. Is it tarnishing his legacy at all as like one of the best ever managers, or will he always be up there as one of the best?
I think he will still always be one of the best managers. Like, when you think about Premier League greats and just managers in general that have achieved what he's achieved, you know, what he did with Porto was just unbelievable what he did. You know, even at Chelsea, he's one of the greatest managers of all time. They'll always compare him and Pep, and maybe there are people that will prefer Pep, and that's fine. Look, he's the type of manager who's also had, again, kind of at most places, has always had whatever he wants is kind of given. I mean, what's your view on it as well? Because you had him at Manchester United. Was the only place he actually didn't win was with Spurs.
When we had Jose and when it was good, I loved it. I think it was so much fun. I love charismatic managers, players like him, players. He defends himself so staunchly. There's just so many like memes came out, obviously, of the time of the United when he's like, you know, talking about like 3 times and stuff. I personally, I think I still think he'll go down in history as one of the best managers there's been, at least in the last 20-25 years.
I think it's, again, just like maybe the style, like, you know, him coming to
very
Spurs,
abrasive, isn't it?
Yes, and also like it's not particularly sexy football as well, and like Pep has offered you probably more of a sexier at times style of football, like the whole tiki-taka style football, and I just think there's a lack of evolution maybe sometimes with Jose and his style of play, whereas Pep has tweaked, and you know, even seeing now we're going back to kind of like 4-4-2. We're going back to old school, you know, with City at the moment. So I think that the lack of adaptability maybe is what people have been frustrated with Jose. I was about to say Hange with Jose at times, but I don't think you can take away what he has achieved in football. He will be one of the greatest, and I don't think anyone can argue that. And people that do, I think have a very short memory.
Yeah, I
Very
think
short
he'll go
memory.
down as absolute legend because you talk about. I compare it almost similarly to, obviously I'm the one that asked the question, but about when players go off to lesser leagues towards the end of their
Yeah.
career, and you go like when Ronaldo goes to Saudi, you go, oh, is this ruining his legacy? But realistically, maybe for it all, like Messi going to Inter Miami, for example, and
Yeah.
players going off to China and Japan, Japanese
I
leagues,
think-
Australian leagues. I think it does. Momentarily, people are like, oh, he's clearly fallen off. But then as soon as they retire, and it's like once people think about it again, absorb the career as a whole, you go, nah, absolute legend.
I also think it depends on what age you make this move. Like, for
That's
example,
true.
when Oscar went to China from Chelsea,
At 24.
Yeah, that was a crazy move. In terms of he was a great player. Like, I don't understand why you would go and do that at that age. You had all the time to do it. But look, money is a factor in a lot of things. And I'm sorry, but if someone's offering you huge money to go and play in China, then see ya. Like, I'd be off. And I'm sure I think even probably 100% of people would. Maybe there's a tiny little amount that will say that they wouldn't. But I reckon if it's a significant amount of money,
The
for you
contract's
to
actually on
go
the table.
and like you can secure generations of your family financially to go and play in China, Saudi, wherever it is, I'm very certain that you're off.
And also you can come back something. Look at Jordan Henderson, for example.
exactly. Jordan
he went off to
Henderson's on a
Saudi,
tour.
didn't enjoy it, and then went to Ajax,
Ajax.
and then now he's ended up back at Brentford in the Premier League
Yeah, you can still do that. And I think that if
and
you're-
in the England squad.
and in the
Yeah.
it's debatable, but like it's whether or not he should or shouldn't be there. But I do feel that maybe doing that move at 24 is kind of questionable to do it. But if you are Cristiano Ronaldo, who has won absolutely everything, you're one of the greatest players of all time, why would you not go and do it? And you're getting the most outrageous salary. Outrageous.
Oh,
so
yeah. Well, he's just been
go.
declared as billionaire.
Yeah,
Ronaldo
go.
has. Yeah, world's first billionaire active footballer.
And again, people will have a lot of opinions. People want to sit there and be righteous. If that contract's waved in your face, I don't think you'd be so righteous.
Yeah, probably not. There's also something that's just been sent through to me right at the end. Obviously, we've been talking about referencing United struggles and me still being very overly confident on Šeško despite the struggles. So it's funny, it's kind of come out. It's Mark Skinner, our women's manager, took a shot at Amorim either yesterday or today. I think it might have been yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday after they won their first game in the UEFA Women's Champions League. But he basically was talking about how he treats, like he's talking about penalties, and Mark Skinner came out and said, I'm not one of those managers that looks away for a penalty. He's taking a bit of a shot at Amorim, and obviously there's so much discourse going on with United at the moment. Do the players still back him? Does the manager still back him? Because there's some reports like ESPN come out and say that the higher ups have asked the players, do you still back this guy? Do you still like him? They've all said yes. Then you've got like Ben Jacobs has come out recently, said that Bruno Fernandes isn't overly happy with his role in deeper midfield, and if the captain's not happy, it's not good for the squad. But if you then got your women's team manager then taking snide shots and snide remarks at the first team manager, it's a bit sticky, isn't it?
I think that people always find a narrative with Manchester United. He might not have even meant it about the men's team, to be honest with you. His job and his focus is doing the women's team. So people are always going to pick up on every little detail when it comes to Manchester United, because that's what sells papers and that's what makes people listen to everything that gets views at the end of the day. I think that in terms of Manchester United, the writing is and has been on the wall for a long time. I can't see him being there at the end of the season, although Sir Jim Ratcliffe has obviously given him his support.
What do you make of that, the 3-year comment? Because it's a big comment to make, because
but it's not,
you never
it's
do
not
that.
a guarantee. And I think we kind of touched on this on yesterday's show. He's saying that, he wants to give him the 3 years, whether or not, okay.
Doesn't mean he actually will.
Yeah, it's like saying, I'd like to be given the opportunity to walk up Mount Everest, but it doesn't mean I actually will do it. You don't know, and results will determine what happens. Obviously players and player power will also determine what happens. If they're not happy, and there's obviously grumblings that they're not happy, you can probably see everything is results based at the end of the day. If things are going well and you're in that system with your 2-10s and things start clicking and you win games and you get back-to-back wins and the guy can finally cut his hair, then things are all happy, and people are saying, oh well, actually he just needed time and maybe his tactics are great, and he becomes an absolute hero overnight. At the moment, obviously he's not that, and I think that player power will play a big part. If results carry on, let's say you went to Anfield, for example, and you
Which
got
we're doing
a result,
during the weekend,
then absolutely all of the United fans are back on side. This is what I mean, as I said earlier in the show, about people being incredibly fickle. I'm sure at some point Ruben Amorim will get sacked, because I can't imagine you going on a run, even of 2 games, really. But stranger things have happened. So I don't think people should really buy into the thing that, oh, I want to give him the 3 years. Okay, that's what he wants to give
That's
him.
in an ideal world.
In an
but
ideal
also,
world, you don't want to sack another manager.
I want him to win a couple
and
games.
you want him to
in
win
a row.
games, and that would be great. So it's on him to turn it around. If not, I'm very certain he'll get sacked like the rest of them.
Yeah, I see. With Amorim, he did change it up against Sunderland slightly, and it really, really worked. He had Mbumo playing closer to Šeško. Amman was pushing further forwards. You had Mount kind of doing a big shift on the left-hand side, and Mount was great. Mount was really good. I liked watching us play against Sunderland to a certain extent, but also a lot of it was, the goalkeeper finds the striker and then you knock it down. It's very, very basic football, but at times that's kind of, you need basic football. You can't really do much more than that. But yeah, it's the weekend with no football.
With no football?
No domestic football, which is, you can either say, if your team's not doing too well, you can go, it's a well-deserved break. But personally, I'm already going a bit insane. I need the Premier League football back. One taste of a little win for me against Sunderland, and I'm like, get me at Anfield. But thank you guys so much for watching. It's been a pleasure doing live at 5 every day. Live at 5, we're every weekday at 5 p.m. But there's obviously plenty of content coming up on DR Sports. We've got Best of Enemies is coming out this evening, so make sure you stay tuned for Best of Enemies. It's a cracking episode, as it always is. If you haven't already watched the weekend preview, you got Carell Prince, the HMRC of football, came along and ripped apart the panel. It was such a fantastic watch. So go and check that out instead of watching Premier League football this weekend, because there isn't any. But apart from that, thank you guys so much. We'll be back on Monday live at 5 to go through all the latest football news and gossip, and I will see you then.
Welcome along,
That is
weekend
unbelievable.
rounder. Oh my days. We're in for a great show today, guys. Well, what about the North London derby?
I'm not getting rattled.
We're 3 points off top 4, so it's not looking too bad.
Yeah.
Foden
I'd
88,
say
Saka
that's about
87.
right,
I think that's wrong.
Nice that you put your top on. You want to take it off and get the branding
Oh!
out? Happy birthday!
Make a wish to win the league.
I did.
How much chance will Arsenal have of winning the Champions League?
0, mate.
If we got 3
Can't
PSV, do you think there's any chance of winning?
No.
Hang on, let me finish.
Predictions:
2-1 Tottenham.
3-1 Liverpool.
2-0 Wolves. Chelsea to beat Man United at Old Trafford.
Still there.
You're in trouble if we win this game.
You better not lose on Saturday.
We beat the world champions this weekend. That makes you world champion.
We're the world champions, but you're not in a title race.
This is why you'll never win the league.
6 billion down the drain.
Robbie celebrating a 1-0 win. Abby Pilates instead of trophies. You never walk alone.
Catch us every Monday for the weekend roundup.